Hello guys, it's DB Grinder here, back at it again with another video, and this time I'm going to be going over the entire top 64 of the European WCQ 2024, and we have most of the deck lists out now, so I can go over a lot of them. Just looking at the top 64 breakdown though, to start off, we can see that Snake Eye was literally half a top 64, and then we can see Tenpai was the second most popular deck, Yubo was the third, and surprisingly, Ritual Beast was actually the fourth. And then also, if you see how well decks did, like going in the top 32, top 16, on and just further and further, we can see that Snake Eye was like very quickly just dying out every single time. Like they lost about half their players going in the top 32, lost about half of them going in the top 16, about half of them in the top 8, and then they really just went down the one after top 4, and then that one didn't even win top 4. And then we can see a deck like Tenpai ended up being the winner. And you know, they were able to keep a deck all the way to the finals and win. Ritual Beast only had one player make it past top 32, but that player made it all the way to second place. We can also see other decks at top: Pearly, Magical Musketeer, Despia, Memento, Whitewood, Runic, Labyrinth, Gimmick Puppet FTK, Runic Stun, Rescue Ace, probably Fiendsmith, I'd have to assume. But okay, let's go ahead and actually hop into the deck profiles now. So for the first deck profile, we have the winner of the tournament playing Tenpai, and we have two Fadra. A lot of people have cut this card down to one. We see one Gen Roku, which I think is like okay. A lot of people play two of this card, but one's probably just like okay. Three Mulch Army, three Shifter, three Imperm, and then Lightning Storm, Dark Hole, Raigeki, Droplet, Harpies, and then just Engine. We can look at the extra deck and we can see that, you know, they were playing the Doolittle Chimera. I've seen this become like so much more popular after the EUWCQ, so I'll probably see this in a lot of the Tenpai lists in EUWCQ. Then we have like Seal, Striker, SP, you know, a bunch of good link cards, but they don't have like the actual OTK package in there for it. They do play the Samurai Destroyer for the U-Bell deck. I mean, that deck's getting popular enough to where it's like, you know, fair enough to have one card in your extra deck for it. Side deck, Spooky Dogwood. Yep, this card. I don't really get how it's good in Tenpai. I'm not gonna lie. People must just be plain wrong, because Tenpai finishes their match like very quickly. I feel like every single time I play against it. So as long as you know how to play your deck, then you can go first like fairly quickly, right? And then game 3, if you ever get to that point, like, you know, Tenpai ends the game very quickly. You know, my deck can combo fairly quickly. If we get to a grind game, my deck just wins because this deck doesn't really have that much of a grind game. You can usually just like end the game if you get to a grind game. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure why this card's actually great in Tenpai. I can see it being good in the other decks, but Tenpai, it's weird. Now we have Ritual Beast, who got second place, playing 41 cards, has the Battlefield in the deck. Let's see, what else? Anything super interesting? Main deck Protos, Book of Eclipse, Dark Ruler, Evenly, Shifter. Book of Eclipse is cool. This card is definitely interesting. You can also use it like in combination with, you know, like any of your other board breakers to be able to break the board through like a Desiree. Extra deck, nothing really crazy there. Side deck, we see Cowboy for time, Spooky Dogwood for time. This deck, it makes sense to have both of these, because, you know, this deck goes to time a lot, especially if your opponents don't know exactly what your cards do and they have to read over every single one. Then yeah, these do a lot. And we see a little bit of Floodgates for going first, you know, some back row hate, some hand traps. Going on to the next list now, we have the Fiendsmith U-Bell deck that got top 4. We can see them playing, wow, 7 Bestials, Nib, Valor, Ash, Imperm. So I feel like a lot of people have probably tried playing something similar to this with a lot of Bestials, including a lot of Ball Drakes, because it really can make us that way 2 hand traps can become 3 interruptions, with the Ball Drake having another effect to tribute the banish. So I feel like a lot of people tried doing this, but because of that, decks like Ritual Beast and Tenpai like imagine you're in top 4 and one of your opponents is either Ritual Beast or Tenpai. Like that's just how it was for this player, and all these cards are just not great going second. So I think it's like fine to have these, but meta trends like this is why Tenpai and Ritual Beast and stuff are able to, end up winning the tournament and do very well in it. Both of them made the finals. But looking at the other stuff in the deck, nothing crazy that I can notice right away. Extra deck, also nothing too crazy. I guess they play Amirage. Feel like people have been cutting this card, so I guess that's like something, but nothing crazy. Oh, there's no Apo. Yeah, no Apo is actually a big one, right? Because usually people are ending on Apo and then they set Chamber and that summons out Solar Rage. So they're obviously just doing it different because they don't play any Link after the Solar Rage stuff. So yeah, I wonder how they're doing their combos exactly. Then we have, a couple Floodgates in the side deck, just some of the powerful one-ofs. If you draw them, you probably win. Spooky Dogwood. I feel like there's going to be a trend in a lot of the deck profiles. We're already, 3 lists in, and all of them side deck 3 Spooky Dogwood. And then also, they have more Charmies in their deck too, so that way you can draw in the Spooky Dogwood more often too. Now we have a Fiendsmith Snake Eye that got top 4. Let's look at the side deck. No Spooky Dogwood. Let's go. But we do have the Angel of Blue Tears plus the traps. We have access code in the side deck, cross out, cosmic, phantasmic, so tons of draw power. And then we can see in the main deck Ash Veiler, Ogre, Nib, a few Bestials, Talons, Imperm. Also another cool thing with Baldrake is Phantasme works well with it too, being able to just put a body on field so that way Baldrake can go ahead and tribute it. So that's like something to note, that this can help you also make this live. It doesn't really matter in this list though, because they're only playing one of it, so it's not like it's going to come up too often. Extra deck, don't notice anything crazy. Yeah, they just like side deck the access code. Okay, next list, now we have top 8, which is Snake Eye Fiendsmith. Oh, look at this. Now we got Phantasme in the main deck with some Bestials, Nib, Ogre, Ash, Imperm, Talons. Side deck's Jinzo. Okay. Trying to think on how we actually get to this card for 2 seconds, because we play Beatrice, right? So I guess you could Beatrice dump it, but then how do you res it? I'm not even sure. Or are they just trying to like draw the card? Yeah, I don't know why I can't think of it. I know there was a way to like get to Jinzo in a different deck, but I don't know why I can't think of it in this deck. But whatever, I guess we'll just go on to the next thing. The Golden Lord. This card is really good against Runic Stun, because you can just use it, send, add back, send, add back, send, add back, send, add back, and what is Runic Stun gonna do? They can't stop this card. You could just keep sending fountains, and then they don't have any fountains in rotation, so now they have to play slow, and then you start sending floodgates, and then they're just scrambling. We can also see that they side deck Skill Drain plus Nightmare Griffin, so if they go first and they get the combo, they are, forcefully setting Skill Drain. Kind of interesting that they don't have like an anti-spell in here too, maybe. Anti-spell is really good versus some of the Tenpai decks, but I guess Skill Drain also is, but anti-spell is going to blow out the list that play, Lightning Storm, Harpies, Regeki, Dark Hole, Pot of Prosperity, the Field Spell, the Quick Play Spell. Like, anti-spell is going to cook a lot of those cards and make them infinitely worse. They also don't play Necro Quip. They play World Sea Raging Phoenix. But on to the next list now. We have another top 8 Fiendsmith Snake Eye deck profile. So we can see that they are playing the Angel statue with the rabbit. They side deck the Dark Charmer access code. They also don't play Necro Quip. They've in deck Droll. But yeah, not too much to say about the list. I feel like we've talked about a lot of the Snake Eye stuff so far. They play 2 Genroku, 2 Fadra. Then they play, Change of Heart, some spells, Shifter, the 1 Bestial Magma Mutt still, which I think is very fair. I think this card's extremely strong. Like, your deck chooses to go second, and then you can use this card, banish something, interrupt the opponent, and then on top of that, you get to search Genroku at end phase, and then Genroku can go ahead and just tribute itself off to get the Pydra, and then Pydra effect will go search, and then you still have Pydra search on your turn, so now you can easily get to, like, both, quick play and field spell. So I feel like this is still like pretty strong in the deck. Oh, also side deck, we see Power Filter. We saw this at the EUWCQ. This card makes that way monsters with 1000 or less attack cannot be special summoned, which is really strong because you can use it against U-Bell, you can use it against Snake Eye, you could put it in against, I guess, like Ritual Beast. You know, there's like a bunch of different things that you can actually put this in against. So it's actually like a pretty interesting floodgate that I haven't even considered for years. It's been years since I've even considered this card. So it's a pretty cool floodgate that we're seeing this pop up. Now on to the next deck, Fiendsmith Snake Eye playing the Angel statue, some Bestials, side deck Spooky Dogwood, Golden Lord, Arching Eccentric, so a good amount of back row hate in the deck. But yeah, I'm just gonna skip over this. It's not too much to talk about. Fiendsmith Snake Eye, you know, once again, I mean, this is like practically the same list as last time, except I think this one just has like main deck Phantasme, side deck more Floodgates. But other than that, fairly similar. Like, they don't play Rabbit, but they just play Necro Equip instead. Next list, we have Fiendsmith Snake Eye at 45 cards. And we have Bestials, Ogre, Nib, Veiler, Ash, Imperm, 1-for-1. Like, this list looks solid for sure. Side decking into the third Baldrake too with Phantasme and Molcharmy. I like how, you know, people are really finally starting to put some respect on Baldrake and how good the card is and how good it works in combination with not just other Bestials, but also with something like Nib, Phantasme, you know, the bodies that just put themselves on board for free. And then on to the next deck, top 16, we got the Tenpai Dragon deck. They do play one Dora Dora. You know, I mean, you can play one of this. You can choose not to play it. I think if you do play it, it's just a one of though. And then they play two Hydra. The main deck, one Baldrake, one Jurus, one Bestial, Magmamut. I feel like it's actually just like pretty poor in this deck. I'm not gonna lie, playing all the Bestials. You don't really have anything else to combo them with, right? So like, yeah, your deck doesn't play too many hand traps, so I don't know if I like these cards in the deck. I like the Magmamut though, it's really strong. They play the trap card in the main deck too, which playing the trap card in the main deck must mean that you're very confident that you can get the top cut, because that's when this card becomes good. Because you always choose to go second, but in top cut, if you lose the rock, paper, scissors, shoot, they're gonna make you go first game one, and then you can use this to, you know, try to stop the opponent from ending the game. Let's see, side deck, they got Heat Wave in it. This card's a little bit bait, but I guess that's also why they have the trap card in their lists. That way, if they choose to go first, they can do this. Maybe they're just seeing if opponents make them go first. I don't know, this card's a little bit of a gamble, I'm not gonna lie. They have the Moon Eating Dragon in here, sure. They got Drago. Now on to the Fiendsmith Kashtira Snake Eye list. I got top 32 by Lorenzo Muzzuli. I feel like I messed up his name. But, yeah, we have Kashtira cards in the deck. Plays 2 Engraver. Plays Imperm, Talents, Dark Ruler, Droplet. You know, just straight trying to push through end boards is pretty much what this deck is doing. And then going first, it's also just very strong because, you know, all the Kashtira cards that are non-engine in other people's decks, you know, they're extenders in this deck. And then we also play Talents, so our decks going first capabilities are just insane compared to the other strategies. One thing that is a downside of Kashtira cards, though, is Molcharmy. Makes it so that way they get way more value against you if you have, like, a Unicorn plus Snake Eye Ash, because now you're just letting the opponent draw 3 cards. So, you know, something like Molcharmy starts getting more and more value if you do that. Yeah, they do play Angel of Blue Tears with Eradicator, but that's it. They don't play D-Barrier, they don't play DDG, they just play the Eradicator. And then they're just going to go ahead and activate Eradicator and try to blow the opponent out of the game. Also, looking at their choices in the extra deck, we can see that they play Underworld Goddess, they play Axis Code, you know, it's not normal to see Underworld Goddess in the extra deck. Access Code, you know, is in the side deck of some list too. They play Fuchio for Tenpai, Spooky Dogwood for time, Skill Drain for going first, no cross out. I don't know. It's an interesting list overall. I don't know how well it can actually push through the opponent's end boards, like, consistently enough. It's definitely interesting, especially, like, imagine like game 2, game 3, right? I'm just gonna Angel Blue Tears in the DDG, and your deck doesn't play hand traps, so GG. Like, I get there. Like, you can't stop me. So I lock you like 100% of the time. Now we have Runic Stun that got top 32. Let's see, is there actually anything to talk about in this list? No, there really isn't. I guess they play 2 Typhon, which I tried before in the deck, and I don't know, it doesn't really feel like it ever came up. Maybe it's like a little bit better now, but Typhon just feels so bad in this deck. Like, you definitely play one of it at least, because it's going to come up more than anything else you put in that spot. But this card's also just really bad in the Promethean Princess, and everybody puts that card in graveyard turn 1. Now we have Fiendsmith Snake Eye, which is just the regular old list. Alright, screenshot it if you want it. Just on to the next one. Yeah, I feel like there's just not a whole lot to say if I just see regular cards in those decks right now. We have Gimmick Puppet FTK. I played one of each hand trap for cross out, then really liked Impermanent Droplets, so maxed out on those. So about 9 non-engine. Oh, only 9? Only 9's tough. Also, I think this deck's actually unplayable right now, too. Like, the more I actually think about it, like, I already thought this deck was pretty poor, compared to a deck like Snake Eye, but now that, like, half the field side deck Spooky Dogwood, half the field has a hand trap that makes it so that way they can't get FTK'd. So, like, this deck just loses so much more merit, right? Like, holy. But then on to the next deck, we have Fiendsmith Snake Eye. They're playing Mind Control, Change of Heart, they play Foolish Burial Goods, and the Black Goat Laughs, Droplet, Talon, so they're just playing old board breakers. Also, I think it's pretty cool that they play Foolish Burial Goods and the Black Goat Laughs, because you can also dump Original with it, and try to use that to keep pushing, but it's cool that they're actually trying to, like, use that as, like, a going second thing, and they also play Galaxy Cyclone in the side deck, Angels of Blue Tear in the side deck, you know, these cards work well also with Foolish Burial Goods. Well, I wouldn't say like they work crazy well with it, but they do work with it. It also gives them a little bit more back row hate too, Archmage centric with the Fiendsmith stuff. Curry Kara with the Snake Eye stuff. Seems like they like cards that, you know, overlap in use, which is cool. Oh, they also play Typhon. Nobody's playing this card right now. Typhon's nice, but yeah, it's because they're not playing Desiree. Interesting. I mean, there's no way they're choosing to go second, right? I guess they could be. They do play Molcharmy plus tons of going second cards, so possibly. I'm not sure though. That's something that you'd have to like watch over the deck profile for and see exactly what they say about their deck. Okay, another Runic Stun deck. Nothing to say about this list either. Then we have Fiendsmith Yubel, and this deck, let's see, Molcharmy, and then we play Dark Ruler, Droplet, Talons, side deck Nightmare Phoenix, interesting. Yeah, they actually play Appaloosa, they play some Judgments, DDG, Thrust, being able to set a couple things too. We have another Fiendsmith Yubel, top 32. This list played Escape, they didn't even play Chamber, they didn't play Appaloosa. Okay, so I feel like some more people are just trying to like go away from Appaloosa and try to go towards Escape is what it seems like. Also, we see Unicorn, Birth, Pressured Planet set rotation in the side deck. I'm guessing just to play through hand traps. I mean, Kashtira Unicorn's really strong going first. It's 2 bodies, and like, even if you don't have to use the second body, you can leave it on board, and it ends up just being Unicorn with Birth, which like, you know, it's not like a real interruption, but like being able to rip the extra deck and rip the graveyard after a spell, like that's like a half interruption. Like it's gonna hurt the opponent a little bit in somewhat, like in some way. It's not crazy, it's not like an Omni Negate, but it is cool. Side deck Chaos Angel also. Now going on to the next list, we have Michael, Foreigners, Fiendsmith, 10 Pie Dragon deck. Which also I want to bring up that it's from Michael Foreigner because I just saw that. But I'm pretty sure this person used to cook really hard with a bunch of deck lists like 5 years ago. So seeing this, which we play 2 Chandra, 1 Genroku, 1 Fadra, 1 Dora Dora. Then we play a couple Engraver, Lurie, Tract. We still choose to go second, right? Like, yeah, I feel like we still choose to go second. and then we just like hand trap the opponent and then try to push extremely hard and win the game. We can see DDD, we can see the Goblin guy, we see the Beatrice. I can say it takes up a little bit of extra X space, but this deck has extra X space that you can use. You can just cut like the whole princess line and stuff, cut down on synchros a little bit. But yeah, this is an interesting deck. Side deck, we have like the Grand Tusk Dragon and the Kokimoru, which are the two that you summon off Seal. We have Electromite Turtle, which we can also dump off the Shooting Riser in the mirror match. We have Medora that we can dump off Shooting Riser. So I'm guessing we're getting to this card a lot, right? Since we're playing a bunch of cards to dump off of it. We have this Beatrice, all this Beatrice stuff to FTK. Alright, this deck list is cool. This is something that like I'd be down to try out. Like Innovating Tenpai. Like come on now, that sounds sick. But okay, another top 32 list. I guess just looking real quick. Nope, nothing. Okay. Then we have Labyrinth in top 32. This card's broken. The Equation Cannons. But okay. 2 Flash and Fire, 2 Duality, 2 Pot of Prosperity. A little bit of interesting ratios. You play Flash and Fire because you want to put the fusions in the extra deck. And then, you know, you have all the XYZs. Pretty much the entire extra deck is just there for the Equation Cannon and making this card as strong as possible so that we can banish the opponent's field. I mean, you have Equation Cannon, Trap Trick, and Karma Cannon, which, you know, they don't play Butler in their deck, and, like, I don't know, like, Butler's a pretty sick card. Just being able to, like, get value, like, you know, Butler into, like, a very high impact trap card. Like, Butler into Cannon or Trap Trick is banish the entire opponent's field, and then Butler and the Karma Cannon is set the opponent's field, and then, like, send the links. Like, I feel like that's just, like, the strongest hand trap in the game behind Shifter. So, like, I don't know. Maybe you could just, like, play the 2 strongest hand traps in the game and get a lot of value out of it or something. But on to the next list now. We have U-Bell branded Despia. U-Bell branded Despia. Oh, they just played Nightmare Throne with a little bit of U-Bell to put up Phantom of U-Bell. Okay. So it's not really U-Bell. It's just branded. And then has that in the... Okay. Yeah, I mean, it just looks like a, you know, regular old branded list. Just take out a little bit, put those in. I play some more Bestials. They also side deck Spooky Dogwood. We can see the Blackout last that they can set off Thrust, sure. Next list, we have Fiendsmith, Magical Musketeer by Dinkaboo. This deck's sick. Wait, what is this? Oh, is this the... Nope, I'm not sure what this is. Never mind. Alright, fair enough. Well, actually, I'll read over it. If a Fiend monster is sent to your graveyard by card effect, except during a damage step, special summon this card from your graveyard, and then, yeah, banish it if it leaves. If this card is sent to your graveyard by card effect, you target 1 Fiend in your graveyard, add to the hand. Okay, no. I feel like I've seen this card, but I'm not, like, familiar with what you're actually doing with it. But yeah, we just played the 3 Magical Musketeer monsters, like the 3 different named ones. We only played 1 max. Interesting. I guess it's like fair. Your deck's really just like a 1-turn go and done type of deck. But I'm pretty sure they also played a going first build. So I guess you just go first. But when you go first, this card doesn't really do a whole lot. And you can just put it back too with like the engraver stuff. It's like fine. On to the next list. We have Fiendsmith, Snake Eye. Oh my gosh, who told you to play this card? This card's horrible. Definitely should have played the other trap card. Silhouette Trick is cool though. We have the whole Psyframe package in the side deck. That's not very common right now. Gamma's very, very, very strong. I kind of wish it was like Master Duel where this card's at 2. Because this card's really strong, and I really like how, you know, you have to play 2 good cards in 1 brick. I feel like it's actually fair at 2. I think it's, like, okay at 2. So I kind of wish this card was at 2. And then, on to the next list, we have the Joshua Schmidt Runic White Forest deck list. They only played 3 names. and play more names. They played one spell, one trap, skill drain in the main, infinite runic spells, talents evenly, Scarlet for time, sure. Yeah, you just need time cards, especially in runic decks. But okay, yeah, we're seeing the Whitewood stuff pop up some. It's cool how Joshua Schmidt still topping with runic cards, even in Snake Eye format. Then we have Fiendsmith Memento, which I'm pretty sure this deck got another top in the top 64 also. But oh, we see Chaos Hunter in the side deck. That's cool. Yeah, side deck the Memento stuff, the trap cards. They don't want them in their deck going first. Even though like Cranium Burst is crazy if you get the full combo. They're probably just thinking like if I get the full combo, I'm winning anyways. And people also don't know where to hand trap this deck very well. Like Seahorse is a good place to try to hand trap them. But even if you do that, right, like the opponent's just gonna go and do Engraver. Like this is a brick in their build because they don't play Tractus or anything. But in deck, or even in hand, right, because you can summon from hand off this, you know, just having the ability to turn any two monsters into that engine sounds strong. Then you can Beatrice, dump. But okay, now we have Bank 1W, Fiendsmith Snake Eye list. Okay, so they worked on the list together then with all the board breaker stuff is what it looks like with the other person, because this list seems like the other list. Yeah, with Typhon in it. Yeah, 100%. Okay. I mean, it's a cool list. Now we have Marco Peratini, which you can see play on DB a lot. We have one Ogre, one Mourner. Okay, Malcharmian main. Side decks the whole Cyframe package and 7 access code. The statue. So it has Rabbit in the extra deck. The side deck's the statue. I feel like this person may have had one fatal decklist error with that, right? Like, what's the point of having this card in the extra deck if it doesn't do anything, right? You'd be like, oh, it only works post side. Well, what about access code? RM7. These cards work game 1. So why not just put this in the side deck for when this is in and put one of these in the extra deck? I feel like there was like a very easy like oversight on this that just wasn't really looked into. Yeah, there's definitely some oversight on that. It's kind of funny. Now we have Vlad's Fiendsmith Memento deck list. We can see them actually playing, you know, Tract and all that. Some Bestials, Nib, Valor, Ash, Imperm, tons of non-engine. An engine that people don't know how to hand trap. They don't play Cranium Burst anywhere on their deck list, which is really interesting because that card is really broken in my opinion. You know, I don't play this deck though, so you know, I'll trust Vlad to see what he was cooking up. I'm sure you can still build a big enough end board to still win, like with DDD and Appaloosa, maybe a Herald of Mirage Lights, have a little bit of Memento stuff set up. And then on to the next deck list, we have Nesh's Fiendsmith Snake Eye list, playing, okay, fair enough. Yeah, they also worked on this with Bank 1W and the first person. So we'll just hop onto the next list then. We have Sebastian Ma, which this is a European name that I know for sure, because I like how they tried to innovate Pearly before. So now they're playing Fiendsmith Pearly. And they got Triple Lurie, which, you know, discarded off a Pearly card. They have, you know, the little Nimble package that they played before. Still not bad. I mean, I guess you have 6 normal summons in your deck, which isn't great. But Angler's really strong with Sprint, so they still wanted to go ahead and play that. They play a really small Pearly XYZ package. Holy, they don't even play Beauty in the deck. That's actually kind of wild. They don't even play Beauty in the deck. Like, you really have a tight extra deck if that's the case. Or they just play Underworld Goddess for no reason. I'm not sure. It's one of the two. Then they side deck the field spell for going first or going second in the specific decks, but okay. Yeah, I mean, you gotta make space when you play all this stuff. And they still wanted to play some non-engine. Like, they still played, like, 13 cards that were, you know, not engine cards. 12 of them good going second. And then side decking some more, you know, some heavy hitters like Sphere Mode. Then next list, we have Fiendsmith Yubel. And this deck list looks pretty normal. Drollin main. Okay. They also play Appaloosa. Then we have Kristoff Nielsen playing Fiendsmith Snake Eye. I guess Pinkertop's in the side deck, Eradicator in the side deck. Oh gosh, are we really getting back to the point to where we're gonna start Eradicating everyone again? Because it seems like there's been a few good players in this list that are playing Eradicator, and I don't want that to happen. This card's so cheese. But I guess like anything that Angel of Blues Tears is setting is a cheese card, right? Like DDG's a cheese card, D Barrier's a cheese card. So I guess like all of that's just cheese. Beatrice, your time's up. You're getting banned. I'm sorry, bud. On to the next list. We have Fiendsmith U-Bell. And they are playing Triple Phantom of U-Bell. Droplet, Talons, some hand traps, a little bit of board breaker. Next list, we have Fiendsmith U-Bell. 2 track this. Wow. Okay. Nightmare Phoenix inside deck. Saw another player do that earlier. They play double Baldrake, 1 Bastille Magma Mutt. I guess you have like 5 monsters that work. Oh, it takes 4 monsters alongside the Baldrake it works with. So, you have 41 cards in deck list and you draw 4. So it's like the odds of drawing one of these isn't the highest. I guess we side deck cards that work with it. Like the side frames work with Baldrake, technically. So I guess that's like, post side deck, it becomes live a solid amount of the time. Game 1, it's like, not really. Now we have Herman Hansen's Ritual Beast deck profile. They were actually playing the Corridor in the main deck alongside the Protoss, so they could Colossus and Protoss you. Side decks into more Engine for going first. Plays this. Wait, shouldn't I guess you don't main deck this? This is an interesting card, though. It's a very interesting card. They don't play Imperm either, which, gives this, a 17% chance or something like that to become a really, really strong card. I guess they do have Evenly, but that's not gonna, come up. They play Fissure, Macrocosmos for going first. Cowboy for time. They played 2 of the Link 2 onto the next list, though. We have another Ritual Beast, top 64 deck. They side deck the Corridor and Petalfin, but they main deck the Zephyr guy. And then, okay, they play Imperm Shifter, Ash, so they're playing, Ash, Imperm, instead of, Board Breaker type cards, which this deck probably just has to play the Board Breaker type cards. It also works with Pot of Prosperity well. Then on to the next deck list, we have another Ritual Beast list, and this one has Talents, Evenly, Dark Ruler, Book of Eclipse. They don't even play Pot of Prosperity. They play 3 Inheritance instead to try to make the deck, a little bit more consistent. A lot of people play 1 of this. Pretty sure Herman's list just played 2, if I remember correctly. I guess I could just go back 2 seconds and check. Yeah, they played 2. So now we have Tenpai Dragon that got top 64 at the tournament. Playing 1 Fadra, 1 Gen Roku, Phantasmian, Main, Nib, Ash, Veiler, Imperm, Shifter, 2 Druisworm, 1 Magma, 1 Baldrake. Also, it definitely should be 1 Druisworm, 2 Baldrake, right? Because we have Nib and Phantasmia that both summon themselves out, 1 Magma Mutt, and then it would be 1 Druisworm, so that's 8 cards that summon themselves. I feel like that's a high enough number in 40 where Baldrake's actually live a good amount of the time. I guess you could argue, I don't think it's a good argument, but you could argue that having the second Druisworm over the second Baldrake is nice too, because it ups the amount of other light and darks that Baldrake could potentially have if we draw it. So the odds of this card being live with its second effect is higher in this current deck list, but I feel like I'd be okay with lowering it a little bit to have the chance of having the second effect come up more. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it makes sense having more interruptions. We can see 2 Seal, the Princess Doolittle. So a lot of back row hate. They don't main deck it because they're playing all the hand trap stuff. And then on to the very last list I'm going to be going over is a Tenpai Dragon deck list with DD Crow in the main, Veiler in the main, some back row hate in the main, Magma Mud in the main. Warlords, Iron Thunder in the side, Judgment Strike in the side. Holy, this person's got some wild side deck choices. But I don't know. Like, are they choosing to go first? They have to be, right? Because, like, imagine you play against this player and you choose to go first, and then your 10-pod dragon opponent has Strike and Judgment in hand, and they're trying to break your board. Like, good luck. Good luck. Oh, they also play Babushka in the deck. There's, like, nobody plays this card, so that's really interesting, actually, that they play this. And they also play, like, the actual Raging Phoenix World COTK line. Nobody's played this either, I don't think. So the fact that they're playing the OTK line and Babushka, which also comes up a little bit more with Genroku, because you can increase its level by 1. So now you have 2 level 4 monsters, pretty much. But yeah, that's going to be it for the entire video. I just went over every single deck list that was available and out right now. I think there was like 1 or 2 that I may have skipped over, but they would just be like Snake Eye deck lists anyways, so it's nothing like crazy. I pretty much skipped over them in the video. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. I'll leave a link down below in the top of the description if you want to go ahead and check out this page yourself. So you can click all the deck profiles, download them for DB, whatever. And yeah, with all that being said, the DB Grinder signing off. Peace. Have a nice day. Stay safe.